God damn it, Bungie. Just god damn it. Get your shit together, Bungie.
Seriously.
When Destiny even first came out, I had interest in it. And then after like a couple of years later, even after a good amount of the stuff was already out, I still had interest in the game. I still did. And then after I beat it, I was just looking for something new until I caught wind of their last two DLCs. After I caught wind of those, then I decided, all right, I'm gonna try out these new DLCs, see what they do. Is they fun? And they were fun. They were fun for that bit. Both, and I mean the Taken King. I mean the Taken King, the Rise of Iron. Really, when I looked at the Rise of Iron, they really could use a lot more work to it. They could use a lot more, and I was very disappointed. I was very disappointed when there wasn't enough to it. It was just recycled enemies. You giving me another part of Earth to explore. That's nice and all, but I really wanted a new area, and I wanted new enemies to fight, in which I did not get any. I got none. You just gave me recycled Fallen, and then you called them Siva, and I look at them and I'm just like, that's Fallen. There's nothing really interesting about them. They still fight the same way. All they do is just now regenerate if you leave them for too long. Other than that, there's nothing else. There's nothing different about them. At least with the Taken King, you gave me some new. At least with the Taken King, you gave me something interesting to deal with. You gave me something to deal with. But after the Taken King, I was left with nothing else. I beat the Dark Below, I beat the House of Wolves. Those were good DLCs, just not the Rise of Iron. They could have used a lot more work. And then there was, after that, after Destiny 1, when Destiny 2 comes out, I'm having high expectations for the game, and I'm still not given those expectations. It's like one of those super old memes. What was that one meme? It wasn't no. Wasn't Everybody Hates Chris? Crap, I forgot what it was. I forgot what show it was. But it was one when the kid was just like, I wasn't expecting anything, and I'm still let down. That's pretty much me.
I'm sorry, but I had to concentrate for a good minute there, so I'm sorry.
Nah, it's fine. It's fine.
It got really bad in the game, and I had to concentrate on that for a second.
Nah, it's fine.
Okay, so what did you say?
I was talking about how some of the DLCs in Destiny 1 were good, but just not the Rise of Iron. It didn't impress. But yeah. And then when Destiny 2 comes into the fray, I didn't have any expectations for the game, but I was still let down.
Yep, that's Bungie for you.
Yes, and that's unfortunate. I played Destiny 2, I beat it. There wasn't enough to keep me to keep me locked in the game. That was one of their problems, longevity, that they didn't bother to plan out with every single one of their, with most of their DLCs. Most of them they didn't plan that. Most of their DLCs they didn't plan that out. The very few that had longer content in there, the very few DLCs that had longer content. I think it was the House of Wolves and the Taken King. And that was it.
Taken King had, yeah, Taken King definitely had a lot of content.
I was extremely bothered. I was extremely bothered by that. That even though you gave me a story, I had to give it to you. You gave us a story to work with. You gave us a story. Wasn't the greatest story, but it was a decent story nonetheless. Everyone was complaining that there was no story in the first game, and you gave it to us. Not even gonna complain. Now, in terms of you evened out the multiplayer. That's at least good. So you ain't gotta worry about people destroying you without any. You ain't gotta worry about people destroying you out of the gate without even letting you fight back. And you can at least shut down people's supercharges, because I got tired of those. Because in Destiny 1, every time I kept running around in certain areas, I kept running into a Sunbreaker and I kept trying to fight them off. I was irritated by that. But now in Destiny 2, I can just kill them. I can just kill someone in their super and just lickety split. And even then, I was the only type of person who would go in there with a Void Walker. Because you knew I was always going to be a Warlock. I was my primary in the multiplayer. Because Stormcaller couldn't do the job, nor could Sunsinger. Sunsinger was just there for me to come back, and even then I'd get killed if I tried to come back. And Dawnblade doesn't really do much either. It's basically if I was a floating Sunbreaker.
Yep.
And even then, sometimes when I land those attacks, they don't even hit them clean. They don't even hit them, even when I have the tracker on them. Shoot, that's why I stick with Void Walker, because it gets them regardless. Now, in terms of longevity, I have played both DLCs, the Curse of Osiris and the Warmind. And all I have to say is, they fucked up again.
Yep.
There's still not enough in there to keep me on there. And it's just, you're giving me stuff you're offering stuff that's not even that appealing. The raids, I was honestly looking forward to them having some new raids going on. I lost interest because it's still the Leviathan. All you did was just made a part 2 and a part 3 to it, and even then, I'm not interested in the Leviathan anymore. I've beaten the first part of the Leviathan. I have no interest in it whatsoever. Just let me do something new. You did not make a raid for the Warmind. You didn't even make a raid for the Curse of Osiris. I wouldn't mind if you had made a raid. I wouldn't have. Now for Curse of Osiris, they had some. The ideas in there were just interesting, but they didn't even bother to capitalize on that.
Yeah.
Even some of the enemies I fought in there, I looked at them and I'm just like, why are these not in a raid? These bosses are practically raid material. Why are they even in the story mode? It's not impressed. And the same thing applies to the war mind. I fought Zol. He was better off just being in another raid. He was better off just being in a raid. He would have been better off in a raid, and the war mind could have just been. Well, I get the war mind was all about Rasputin, but even then I wasn't. But even then, I would have been better off fighting the take. I would have been better off fighting the Taken or anything, because I'm more focused. Because there was actually a lot of lore going on in Destiny 2 that wasn't even addressed. You have the whole matter of the Fallen. Why are they so scattered thin? Nothing addressed that. Nothing really addressed that one. You have the whole matter.
They're supposed to be scavengers, and yet they're so hard to find.
Yeah, they're just more. They're bigger. Well, they're just more. They're more feral scavengers than usual. And then you have the Vex still trying to assimilate stuff. Interesting things about it was the fact that they told what was it my ghost told me? They were trying to collect everything. They were trying to collect everything. No. Create a copy of everything, and then delete and then destroy the original. Like create their own simulation and keep it with them. Shoot, they even tried to assimilate my ghost with them at one point. It was interesting, but it wasn't really addressed. It still wasn't addressed. And then we have the whole matters of the Taken and the fact that they have a new leader. That has not been addressed at all. I've done missions that have been hinting at a new leader, a new Taken King, or Taken Queen.
Or maybe the king hasn't actually died since he took it himself.
Technically, no. Technically, he's dead. He's dead in the raid, because he's just floating out in space. He's just floating out in space at that point. Now,
okay, I didn't actually see that. I haven't actually done any of the raids because they just haven't piqued my interest.
Problem with this was the fact that, well, there was no problem. It was just the fact that next thing I find out is the fact that the Taken King had sisters, and that gave me the whole idea of, okay, so one of them took over, which explains why the Taken are now organized, because they weren't organized before. They weren't, and at this point someone's leading them. I go into the war mind. It's not even focused on that. It's focused on Zol. I forgot who exactly he was. I think he was he was one of the, I think he was a god. He was one of the gods to the Hive. I don't remember. He was related. He had something to do with the Hive, but long story short, I fought a giant worm. I fought a giant Gears of War worm. That's what I literally fought. And then Rasputin's just sitting there thinking about wiping out humanity and all that. I don't know why. But I didn't really care, because at that point I lost interest. Because I already did. I went in there, and it only took me 2 days it took me like 2 to 3 days to just beat the war mind, but that's just because I had school. But if I had to add that in total, that'd be like 5 hours in total.
I mean, I haven't actually done any DLC because I'm not paying that amount. It's freaking DLC.
I pre-ordered the game, but boy was I pissed off to find out that there wasn't enough on there. I spent like $100 and that was just for the whole, that was because I pre-ordered the game plus the expansion pass. And then when I play it, boy, am I pissed. I felt cheated. But that was just destiny, though. Now, you have the Forsaken, and I don't know what story's going on in there. I don't know, but I'm not going to spend money on that. That's some serious shit you got going on in there to just present me a trailer of Cade being shot in the face, and you have what looks like to be the Fallen and the Awoken working together. I don't know if it's just one Awoken just helping the Fallen, or it's just all of the Awoken helping the Fallen. I don't know. But it would be nice to get new enemies. It would be nice to have new enemies such as the Awoken. But it's probably going to be Fallen.
Yeah.
This would be I look at this and I just think, come on, Bungie. Your game would be great if you weren't leashed up by not EA. If you weren't leashed up by Activision. It's practically one of the reasons why your games are coming out shitty. It's one of the reasons why your Halo games have been coming out shitty. Not Halo Wars. Some of the later ones like Halo 5 and all that.
I've never actually played Halo Wars. The only Halo game that I actually played is Halo Reach, and the only other Halo game that I played slightly, it was a very brief moment, like I think the first area, was Halo 3.
I've played Halo 2, I've played Halo 3, I've played Halo Reach, I've played Halo Wars 1, and it was an awesome game. It's a strategic game, but boy was it epic.
I know that. I know what type of game it is, I just haven't played it.
Now, I have not played Halo Wars 2 because I don't have an Xbox One. My uncle has one, and I'm pretty sure he got his hands on that because he's a Halo fan. But I bet Halo Wars 2 was worth it. Shoot. If only their other Halo games came out good.
Now I just need to upgrade 2 cars.
And now And now Halo Infinity is coming out.
Oh yeah, what's that going to be?
I have no clue. No clue?
On those Need for Speed. I'm gonna go on YouTube.
But who knows?